Hello and welcome back to our channel. Sorry for the delay, which was bigger than I anticipated. Today we are going to cover the next data source for your use in financial applications. We went last time over EODHD data sources, and today we are going to check the alternative to it and Yahoo Finance FMP Financial Modeling Prep. Let's open and see it, what it has as potential. It has 4 plans: basic, starter, premium, ultimate. For those of you who are beginners, basic plan is just fine. It's giving like the data for the end of the day, end of trading day, which will be sufficient for the first. Limitation is quite good for a free package. Let's make sure that it's free. 250 calls a day, 5-year historical data, fundamental data, and market data. Those are coming with some limitations, but still it's good to start with. I am personally using starter because I'm using it heavier comparing to the very beginning. Now I have the limitation of 300 API calls per minute, which is good enough, and right now I don't need anything else to go. You can see that on my profile here, this one is active. So what API it has quite different endpoints, as you can see: ESG, market performance, economic data, IPO calendar, dividends, splits, earnings, stock list, company search, a lot of interesting stuff. And let's check for a second the structure of the endpoint. You can see that we can assume that base URL for our application, you can see it here. We had some base URL announced. So for FMP, our base URL will be https://financialmodelingprep.com/API, and there are different versions of API, so I wouldn't recommend to go with any of versions as a base URL. We are going to explore today a few sets of the data from here for the one of the stocks that we will choose. Most of you can think of the Apple, but I will surprise you, it won't be Apple today. Let's today go with the Amazon. And as in case of EODHD, we are going to fetch data, save the data in JSON format, and then we will go over it. So let's start on coding itself. We are creating a new Python file. It will be task22 FMP fundamental or FMP financial data. We are going to add it into a Git, and let's start with imports. We are going to access to the endpoint, so our import will, number 1 will be requests library, import requests. Next one, as I mentioned, we are going to work with JSON files, so we are going to import JSON library. And last but not least, as we are going to save the data in our local computer, we are going to need interacting with the OS. I am Windows user myself, so all of my actions here will be for Windows machines. For those of you who have Linux, I'm sure it won't be any different to, there won't be major difference on it, but just in case, make sure that the code here works for your OS as well. Import OS. With this done, I'm going to introduce 2 variables, or we can call them even constants because they won't be changed. So FMP API key equals to, I'll give it here place, and I will paste it later. I don't want to share my API with you guys. Sorry for that. And let's start adding notes for us to have code easier for understanding. This will be API configuration. API key is, why it's highlighted though. Okay. API key I will paste it later. And next one is base URL, which we are going to use. It will be HTTPS financial modeling prep.com/API/. Now we are going to explore few parameters. It will be profile, ratio, and financials. In this case, let's check for profile. This is V3. Ratio. This is also V3. Next we are going to check is financials. Don't want the bulk, but instead let's go up. However, financials is also V3. So in this case, it's rational to, for all of those three, use the V3 as an endpoint. But again, if you are going to check other sets of data, just like I showed one before, like company search, no, not company search, it was stock list, nope, company information, company. Nevertheless, there are certain APIs that are on version 4, so I would rather, for those of you who want to go deeper on this, here you can see like SEC, it's API version 4. So those of you who are going to interact with this one would rather not have here in this format. And now this is done, let's have our function to fetch data. Def fetch FMP data. It will use endpoint and stock symbol as inputs. And let's add some comment here. Fetching financial data from FMP API for a given stock symbol. We introduce them as variables to form final your API endpoint URL. Okay, with this information given, let's have it coded. URL equals f string base URL, then goes endpoint slash stock symbol, and at the end it goes AP key equals to FMP AP key. So this will be form of our URL, and our API key will be included as a required part of it. Next, we are introducing response as requests get URL. And now adding a check if response was successful. For that, we are going to use if response status code equals to 200. You remember it is HTTP success OK message. Return response JSON. And if it's not, else print not possible to fetch data and return none. So we don't expect anything basically to be returned in this case. Okay, this method is ready. Next, what we are going to do, save received data to a file. To be more precise, to a JSON file. Def save to JSON data file name. Saves. Let's explain what we are doing here. Saves the data to provided file. Going on code, or let's just add one line here. First, we are accessing a file in write mode with open file name as in write mode as f JSON dump data to a file indent equals 4 and print again. We'll go with the string data saved to file name. I didn't access OS yet. Excuse me. So now we're going to work on the main function. Main function. If name equals name, standard procedure, and stock symbol to be declared for data. Stock symbol will be Amazon. Next, at the beginning, I told that we are going to define endpoints later. So defining endpoints to get data for endpoints equals, and we are going to declare them as a list for later on to go over loop for each of them and to get the data for each of those which are mentioned in this list. So this will be profile ratios financials I think that's enough for the beginning. And now next we provided the endpoints as variable. Those are going to be used here. And next we are going to work on the folder for files that we are going to receive. So create folders, save files to. Output directory will be FMP data. OS make tiers. Output directory exist okay equals true. And now let's go over the loop for the endpoints. For endpoint, let's write an explanation for that first. Going over iteration for each of elements of endpoints list. For endpoint in endpoints, print fetching data for endpoint data will be fetch FMP data endpoint and stock symbol. And if data file name OS path join output directory stock symbol point. So each file will have the name. For this case will be Amazon profile, Amazon underscore profile, Amazon underscore ratios, and Amazon underscore financials dot JSON. And after this, save to JSON data file name. Okay. We provided explanation for almost every block of our code. We have two functions to work on what we need to work on. Now I will paste quickly my API key and we'll go for execution of this code. Okay, now let's give it a try and see if it works as we want it to work. Okay. Financials data are not received, but let's check what it is in here. We have Amazon price, beta, volume average. Basically, we have everything that we got from the set of data for EODHD. And ratios, current ratio, cash ratio, should be EBIT per revenue, EBITDA, POE, price of the earning, price of the booking, and other interesting alternatives of the data. And for ratios, you can see it's also labeled with the timeline. So calendar year 2022, December 31st. Next is calendar year 2021, December 31st, and so on. I hope this was useful for you. I will try to avoid huge gaps as this one in between the videos and make our meetings more frequent to be able to provide more information for those of you who want to go an extra mile for connecting the finance and the coding together. Stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and feel free to comment if you want anything in particular, any subject covered in our videos. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Bye bye.